Peace. What's happening, good people? This Jefe here for Pay Us No Mind. And today we're speaking with Christian Jefe, right? He's a financial advisor, man, somebody that knows a lot about just finances, man, things that artists and a lot of people in the music industry on the artist end just tend to overlook and everything, man. So I'm going to just pick his brain, ask him a couple questions, man, and we're going to run through it and dive into it, man. So, hey, man, what should we call you? Should we call you Jefe?
Man. Christian? I mean, well, my name's Christian, but my peers, most people call me Jefe. Because this is all about that boss talk, man, about being able to execute at a high level, but you got to believe it, right? You got to talk it first. But yeah, you call me Jefe. It's up to you, brother.
All right, man. Yeah. So, how did you get started with this whole thing, man? With finances, how did you find your way to this? Like what led you to do this stuff? Like what's your background, in this whole field?
Well, I'll tell you this, man. It started for me, I say back in 2013. I humbly served in the U.S. Navy for about 8 years. And, the biggest thing that compelled me to get out the military was, I wanted to live life on my terms. I wanted to create a dynamic where my limits can't be capped, because as you know, when you're in the military, for those who don't know, there's only a certain amount of money you can make. You're capped at whatever level you move up in. And for me, I just felt like, it's honorable, to give 20 years, but then at the same time, I'm pretty much at a limited pace. So when I got out into the corporate world, I did my thing in business development, high executive when it comes down to sales and things of that nature. And, I had a sales director, I won't say his name, and he used to always walk into his office and he'll just close the door. And some days he'll order us lunch and some days he's just real angry. So I'm like, yo, you order us lunch some days. He said, well, the other day I only made like 15,000. And I was like, what? 15,000 doing what? Like, we work out here. Like, what you talk about? And he said, oh, I do stocks. I do stocks. And, I got to focus and concentrate. I can't be messing around with y'all. So I go in my office. And I think right there, it was kind of like an eye-opening for me because, as you know, especially in our communities, when I talk about our communities, I'm talking about minorities, Black communities. We're not privy to those type of conversations and have access to it. And he kind of just put me on game, and I used to just pick his ear about the stock market. And ever since, man, I've been in love with just learning that, wow, I can literally print my money when I want, right? So, I'll say for the last, I dabbled in Forex, and this was way before the whole wave of everybody joining my Forex teams. And this is before the whole MLM took over Forex. So I was learning that. I was learning stocks, but stocks kind of was more appealing to me because it was regulated. It's regulated by the SEC. For those who don't know, Forex is so unregulated in many different times. Many of your brokers are overseas. I've lost a lot of money because of that, right? It's not somebody I can call, right? But they got better over the years. But for the most part, that's how I got started in the game of money management. And then I started building my own brand, which is called Jefe Talk about 2 years ago. And I just been educating the people, man. And I loved it, man. And now I'm at a point where I'm building my financial practice and especially targeting and focusing on my community and helping those who need it.
Yeah, man, that's what's up, man. And for those that don't know, Forex is just like an exchange that people use to like effectively trade money. It's like a stock exchange for currencies, correct?
Correct.
Yeah.
So the biggest thing with Forex, what people got to understand is you're dealing with world currencies. So when you deal with world currencies, you got to be on game what's happening in the world, right? And I'm like, well, I'm over here in the U.S. I think I can manage what's going on in my backyard. So that's kind of how I made the switch several years ago to kind of focus on the stock market as well.
Yeah, so Forex was like Coinbase before Coinbase, because Coinbase is effectively you trade in cryptocurrencies, but Forex was you trade in traditional currencies. Yeah, man. So Man, you got a great journey, man. You know, a great story, man. Moving on, just waking up and creating your own business and you know taking on this honorable task and educating people in your community on finances and stuff like that. I mean, my thing is, you know, more so the artists, you know, a lot of people in our community as well try to be artists, want to be rappers, want to be singers, entertainers, and things of that nature. But it's like in that because it's still a business, right? And people might not look at it like it's a business, but it's still a business, and it still requires like capital and, you know, money management and things like that. So it's just a couple questions that I want to ask you as somebody who deals with finances and things of that nature. So it's like you have an artist and you have artists that want to step into this music industry, but they need finances to do that. Now, if you are consulting an artist trying to make that move, where or how would you recommend they find the money effectively, right? So it's like, how could they budget to find the money to invest in their music career? And also, would you advise them differently if they were doing it as a hobby versus if they were really trying to like make something happen with it?
That's a really, really good question. And, you know, I do get that a lot in different forms. But the biggest thing is, which took me years to get down pat, you know, I'm still tweaking it, right? But I will tell you, the key is it's all about planning. Planning. You know, I know, you know, I'm originally from Harlem, New York, so I get, you know, I'm all about the money and fast moving. I need to get it now. But I think once I really understood the power of how you can make money work for you versus you working harder for the money, you have to have some type of organization or some type of strategy, right? When it comes down on, hey, if I'm trying to move this career or this music career, I need to have things in place to allow me to generate income, right? And also for me to sustain, right? Because as you know, I mean, music artists has a short lifespan, and the biggest issue is they run out of money. They run out of money for the marketing purposes, for distribution, you know, for producers and things of that nature. So what I would tell any new artist coming up, or even artists that's in the game right now, we got to create something called a funnel, right? An allocation funnel. And the first thing, before you invest in stocks, before you invest in crypto, whatever it may be, we want to create a savings fund, right? And when I say savings fund, I'm not talking about a couple of $100. I'm talking something that can really sustain you for at least, right now they're saying 12 months. It used to be a good 6-month pot. But I tell anybody, if they can manage doing 12 months of savings, that puts you in prime position. It puts you in prime position. It's kind of like if you're traveling in a car, you want to have a full tank or a half tank. No, I want a full tank so I could get over that bridge, get over the Jersey Turnpike, and do what I need to do. Same thing with your music career and also strategizing. So the first step is going to be you want to have savings. Okay, so that's 12 months that if God forbid you are not working, right, you can really tap in to that savings account and sustain life. That gives you plenty enough time to kind of, you know, survive and figure out things. So you want to look at the music career as a new world, a new journey, right? Let's say it's a forbidden island. You want to make sure you got money, food, a map. You got to know where you're going, all that. So when we talk about on the money side, we want to make sure that we're establishing some type of savings account where we have that for an emergency fund. Biggest thing about the savings account, which most people don't want to talk about, that's not for you to tap in. That's not for you to loan to your boy, your girlfriend, need a new bag. That's not for you to flex for a Friday night, you know, club appearance. That is your emergency fund. So when you have an emergency fund in place, now you got the risk covered. So notice, savings equals risk management. Okay. Now, after that, after you create that risk management, Now you want to allocate money in things that's going to compound and generate money. For all those listening, definitely look up the power of compound interest. Just type it in Google.
Compound interest.
You'll find thousands of articles. But the beauty about compound interest is that the money is going to generate more money and be reinvested into whatever it was originally purchased. So there's something called dividend stocks. Dividend stocks. So even if you know nothing about stocks, your first goal is to learn how to be a long-term investor, right? So you got two types of investments or investors. You have traders and then you have investors. Traders are individuals who want to go in the stock market and make money today, tomorrow, next week, or maybe a couple of months. Investors are looking long-term. They're looking, how can my dollar today make me $10 next year? You get what I'm saying? So that way, you're now thinking more about the future outlook of it. So as an artist or entertainer, whatever it may be, you want to start putting money in things that's going to bring you that long-term accumulation. And what's the question? What's the reasons behind this? And I have this conversation all the time, is that what 401k plan Def Jam giving you? Like what? And I might be a little bit naive. I don't know their structure now, but for the most part, a lot of these independent companies, they don't have things structured in place for you to retire, right?
They don't have none of that. I'll tell you right now, because there's conversations going on about it. There's all these articles written about it. They don't have no retirement funds for these people. They don't have no healthcare plan for these people. They pretty much on their own.
Correct. So the biggest thing is you want to start putting things in place for your retirement plan, right? And I say this, even if you're unsure, which of course you need that confidence to be sure when you're in the music game, start building that retirement account, right? Start looking into dividend stocks. And these are stocks that will pay you just by owning the stock. You know, recently, I believe AT&T did cut their dividends, but they were paying $2 per share. So let's think about that. AT&T, we all got the cell phone. We all use their service. They're paying you to invest in their company for every one share you own. Think about that. And then the more you keep buying shares, they're going to keep paying you. And we're not even talking about the value of that stock going up. We're just talking about what they paying you. So now when you have dividends compounding over time, now while you sleeping, you now see money coming in every other quarter, all because you made a decision to invest. Okay, so that's it's layers to that, but that's the biggest gem that I will share. Another part of that is, of course, take care of your debt. Take care of your debt. I'm not saying you got to figure out how to pay off thousands and maybe hundreds of thousands off the top before you pursue your career, but create a strategy and a plan to knock out some of that debt. Because the more you can come above water, the more your mind can be focused, the more you can take off that overhead. And also, it's going to teach you management skills before you get that advance. It's going to teach you how to regulate and control your funds, because now you understand the tools and the basics of taking care of debt. So, man. Yeah, those are the two biggest things. I got a list more, but I just want to kind of drop those and get going.
And I mean, what you dropped was a lot, man. You know what I'm saying? It was a lot, because I mean, you have artists that I believe have taken that path where it's like, I think Ryan Leslie took that path. And if I'm not mistaken, John Legend took that path too, where they talk about how they was like lawyers or legal, something in the legal field, but they basically worked for years, stashed away enough money to be unemployed for a number of years to pursue their artistic dreams, you know? So it's like, they weren't like they didn't wing it. It wasn't like they just rolled over one day and was like, hey, I'm gonna be an artist and let me just quit my job. And, you know, they had money stockpiled, basically suspended. Like, well, I can afford to be unemployed for 3 years because this fund is going to pay my rent and pay for this and pay for that. So those guys had already made that decision and had that money stashed away for them to be able to do something like that. So what you're talking about, it's not like foreign, you know what I'm saying? It's real talk, and there are real examples of what you speak about, you know. Now you mentioned advances, and that's the next thing that I wanted to ask you. Like, if you Jefe, we're an artist, right? Like you're an artist, you got some money coming in because they got some of these platforms now that allow artists to take out an advance on their royalties, like not even being signed. You got some independent digital distributors that allow you to take out an advance. If you could get a $30,000 advance, not a lot of money, but some money, right? A $30,000 advance. What would you put that money into if you're an artist?
See, that's a twofold question, right? But we're gonna act as if I said yes to the advance, right? Because of course now in the independent stage, a lot of our artists, which is dope, they're more woke of knowing not to take certain advances. But if I had $30,000, and I know at the end of the day it's a loan, right? I got to make that money back. I'm gonna try to figure out how to make that money make more money for me. That's off the rip. I'm not thinking about no new studio. I'm not thinking about trying to send a check to my producer. I'm thinking about how can I double that money. So now I'm already ahead. I'm putting that money back into that loan account, and now I have 30,000 as a head start that I didn't have before I got signed, right? Because you got to think about it. When you're creating your EP and when you're creating your album, it's going to take time, right? You're going to take time anyway. So why not in the process take that advance money instead of buying a chain, instead of buying some new drip? Let's start putting that in assets or certain vehicles that can put you in a better position. By the time your EP and album come out, you're already out the hole. You see what I'm saying? So the first thing I would do, number one, we already talked about savings. I will start putting my money in financial vehicles that will give me a return. Okay, when I say financial vehicles, I'm talking about things, let's just say starting a business, right? And I'm not talking about a huge crazy, I'm talking about a business that you can generate money from, right? And now you got to put on your business cap. I want you to think about it. Let's all sit like we're artists and okay, cool. I got an EP coming out in 7 months. I got a nice little buzz. Why not invest in merch, right? Why not invest into a Shopify store, right? Let me start generating money off the loan they gave me. So now once I start generating that income, now I'm already cutting half that debt down. Then on top of that, I'm doing marketing. The dope part with your marketing with that money is you're attracting more attention to your brand and who you are. I promise you, the more money you put into building a business and structuring it and putting it in a financial vehicle to bring in more money, you're knocking out marketing, you're knocking out cutting down your debt, and you're generating income, right? Which is pretty dope. So that's the first thing I would do. I'll definitely put it into a business. I'll definitely put into some stocks. And I won't say which individual stocks, but definitely look into index funds. Okay, something called the index fund, right? And then you also got to kind of look at what's really going on. What's leading right now in the stock market is technology, right? So I'm going to look in the technology sector. And for those who don't know what an index fund is, I want y'all to think of, all right, I'm going to take my coffee cup. I'm going to put Apple in here. I'm going to put Amazon in here. I'm going to put the best of the best in the stock market in this cup. That's an index fund. So what's dope is when you invest in an index fund, you don't have to take a risk on one company. You can invest in an index fund that has the best companies and get slower returns, but more steady. All right. So things like that, which is really, really important. Another thing is to look into is a health savings account too.
Yeah.
Health savings account, nobody really be talking about nowadays.
Yes, a lot overlooked, man. Nobody think about healthcare.
Man, a health savings account is dope because what you're doing is you're fronting the money. God forbid something was to happen to you, you're getting a subsidy or you're getting a discount as well when it comes down to co-pays and stuff like that. And you can offset that money too for tax breaks too. So people are not realizing at the end of the year, you'll get some tax breaks. Again, I'm not, a tax advisor, consult with your tax consultant, but having a health savings account is probably one of the best things to you because you get breaks just by putting money into that savings account. Okay, so I think the key is, and a point that I'm just driving home is, think business first. You gotta figure out how to make that money work for me versus how can I edify myself when it comes down to that cash. Because what we know, we got to do appearances, we got to look clean, and it's cool. It's part of the image. I get it. But at the same time, they're already starting you below water. So that means you got to work 10 times as harder to come above that water, to be on point with stuff. So that's probably my biggest tip, is to think of some type of business or, some business plan or idea on how to compound that money and pay off that debt. So by the time you're ready to get that whole marketing program rolling, you already made your money back and you got a bigger following because you was able to attract more clients and customers.
Brilliant, bro. Brilliant, man. I mean, because I know dealing with artists and just seeing friends that are artists, 9 times out of 10, like whatever money comes in goes to the creation of art, right? Mm-hmm. So you got like the artists who are all about the art. And then you have the more commercial artists that are more about appearance. Yeah. So it's like, and the two of those, neither of them spend that money on like businesses and nothing like that. One will just blow it on creations. Like if you give them a $30,000 advance, most of it is going to some elaborate music video, right? They're gonna be flying in musicians. They're gonna go to like the biggest studio that's within that budget, and then the other artists, the commercial artists, they're gonna go get fresh. They're gonna get the flyer sneakers, the coats, the jewelry, the car, and all of that other stuff, and kind of like hope everything else kind of just works out, Yeah. So yeah, the head don't be in that space of, okay, well, what can I invest in? What can I do? And I will say, artists that, because you got artists that have done that too, where they got that advance from the record company, and as opposed to even investing it in their music, they went and they started like daycare centers and laundry mats and stuff like that. And then at some point, basically, the music was like house money. It's like if the music made money, it was like great, but if it didn't, they were still okay because they had their laundromat or they had they supermarket or their clothing store or something like that. And to this day, they still in a hole sales wise, like they still owe the record company money, but they don't care because it's like they got their store. So it's like, yeah, man. So setting yourself up is just real critical, man.
You definitely hit the nail on the head. And what I really also suggest too, I'm gonna tell you this, right? So I have a master's in business, but I'll tell you, I really didn't get the application part of it, right? I learned the book stuff, but when it came down to actually applying it, it was a different ball game. So I say that to say this: start. And that's kind of what my brand is about. Jefe Talk. The slogan is act, think, live, because sometimes we think too much, right? We get too complacent. So I always say for people to act, to try it, to try different things, right? Then once you try it, you have enough data, you have enough information to think about it and retweak it and restart the process. So what I highly suggest too, for artists that is in development, don't stop working. I think a lot of times what we do is we get the idea that we might get signed or we're in development mode and I don't need to work. I made it. You ain't make nothing yet, right? So when I say don't stop working, I mean you need to keep generating income, right? So I want you guys to focus on the main thing. Let's think about what side hustles you can get. I don't care if it's Uber Eats, delivery. I got a guy, if you guys check out my podcast, Jefe Talk, on all platforms, I got a guy named Gerald Peters. Huge shout out to him. Multi-millionaire, in his 50s, killing it. But he didn't become a millionaire until in his 30s. And how he did it was he created a side gig, cutting lawns, cutting grass. And he took all that money and was putting it in the stock market consistently for 7 to 8 years. And he became a millionaire. He didn't care what he looked like. He didn't care he had grass on his shoes. He was focused on a future outlook to his bigger picture. So my advice to everybody as well, look at the future outlook of where you want to be. And do you have enough generating income to put you in that position besides the music? Because remember, music does not give you that 401k or that pension plan. You either going to make it or you just going to fall off, right? So we need to start creating vehicles to set you up for the future outlook of your life, which is really important.
Yeah, man. So, yeah, man, you answered the questions that I had, man. And you are clearly a knowledgeable brother, man. I want you to tell people where they can reach you at, how they could, take advantage of your services. If that's something they want to do, man, let them know, man. Talk to the people. Tell them how they can contact you, how they can set stuff up.
Man, number one, Jeff, I appreciate you having me on here. It's just an honor to definitely chop it up with legends like you in the game and just always, helping out the culture and giving that information. So huge shout out to you. Everyone, y'all can find me on Instagram at Jefe, JEFE_talk. You find me on Facebook as well. And I'm giving out free financial assessments for the community, for the culture, for artists, entertainers. And
take advantage.
Yeah, take advantage of it, because I'll tell you this. You look up on Google how much it costs for a financial assessment. It costs people literally almost $2,000 and up. And I think that was kind of the biggest hurdle for my family, my community growing up, is that, even if we wanted to get our finances, organized by an expert, we need to come up with the money to go find out how to handle the money. So it already turned off, for the most part, my community. So that was kind of my way of giving back. So take advantage, shoot me a DM, we'll schedule something. And, let's get you right, man. And other than that, man, I appreciate the time you allow me to have and just to help and educate the people.
Definitely, man. So we're going to wrap this up, y'all. Y'all know what's up. I'm going to put links in the description box that you can click and hit up this man and get some knowledge, man. Get some assistance with setting up your structure and everything, man. Jefe, I thank you for your time, man. I appreciate your knowledge and everything like that, man. We're going to get on up out of here, y'all, man. This is Gift signing off. Pay us no mind. Peace, good people.
Peace.
One.